Check. Mic check. 3, 2, 1. We're live. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. This is a special edition of Taking the Time with Brian and myself, Quentin, and we are going to be here shortly live with RT of Vortic Watches off of a massive win against the giant conglomerate Swatch Group. And we're going to kind of talk to him a little bit about that and a little bit about Vortic and what's going on. He also is a huge contributor to the Veterans Watch Initiative, which we both are big fans of. So we're going to get into that a little bit as well. And before we do that, let's go ahead and bring RT on, and we'll do a quick wrist check. Hey, welcome to the show.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
Look at that smile, man. That's a smile of a man of huge relief.
Yeah. Amen. Amen, brother.
How about we do a wrist check real quick?
All right.
That sound good?
Yeah, I can dive right into that. This is our military edition. Whoop.
Oh, very cool.
This way. You guys probably seen that. So that's a pocket watch made for the U.S. Army Air Corps during World War II. Actually, a Hamilton movement. That exact pocket watch, the 4992B. Mine was made in 1941, and then we turned into a limited edition wristwatch that we call the military edition.
Yeah, that's a beautiful piece.
That's really sweet.
51 millimeters, right?
49, and yep, and yeah, I've never been more proud of a product that we've made. So stoked about it.
Okay,
That is awesome. That is just
I've got my Illinois Vortic on.
It's a beautiful piece.
Black case, yeah. I love that dial. So it had the Olympic dial. So
beautiful.
And
Brian, what you got?
I have the Mitchell A10, also military theme. So this is the Warthog. It's running at, what's it running, Brad? An ETA
6498.
6498. And yeah, I mean, it's a really great watch. I still have it on this original style Bond NATO. I'm still waiting for some straps to be adjusted to come in, but that's a different story. But yeah, so kind of military themed and inspired today.
Love it.
Today is Air Force Day, the anniversary of the Air Force formation. So
There you go.
how about a cheers? Let's celebrate a big win.
I have, this might be binary for some people, but a Corona to share today. So let's get it close.
All right.
There we go.
All right. Here's to big wins.
Big win.
We got them. 1-1 for the little guys. Thank you guys for having me.
All right. So I'm so excited that I got completely out of order on how I wanted to do things. So we know that you guys started in 2013 and you were trying to create a wristwatch that was completely American made.
That's right.
Discovered the pocket watch movements. So I feel like a lot of people kind of already have that basics down. Great pieces, 100% American made. So let's get into talking about the lawsuit. Now there was, I believe, 3 or 4 counts against you guys for copyright infringement and making replicas and things like that. All those counts were struck down, and rightfully so. I mean, you're literally just taking old components and refurbishing them. You've created your own case. There's no, forgery on the case. So, and that's been going on for 5 years. So made it to the federal court level. And, I've talked to so many other brand owners and they're like, I wouldn't have fought it. And I mean, it's amazing that you did. It's great that you did because it sets a precedence. It's a case that's going to be looked at in the future, not only for watches, but for cars and I mean, for all kinds of things. So,
yeah, it's been a 5-year journey. I mean, it's been up and down. Obviously I haven't spoken to someone at Swatch every day for 5 years. It's been on again, off again, for a really, really long time. And like any bad relationship, it went up in flames and went out with a bang. So I just feel honestly relieved that it's over. It's not necessarily over. They still have, I guess, 23 days to appeal if they want to appeal. And if they appeal, it could be years more fighting. So we're not out of the woods yet, but it kind of the finality that the judge gave us by just saying, case closed, Vortic wins on all counts. I mean, she quoted me several times in the final ruling, just validating everything that I thought is like, we never did anything wrong. We never confused a consumer. We did not, trademark infringe. We did not copyright infringe. We did not counterfeit anything. I think the finality of that ruling just makes me feel really good, whether they appeal or not, that we will and have won.
Yeah. And I don't see them having an appeal that's going to go anywhere, but take up just more time. Sure. It's almost, when you think about, American hot rods and things like that and classic cars, what's one of the most popular engines is a small block Chevy. They put them in Fords, they put them in everything, but they don't rebadge a T-bucket as a Chevy,
sure,
even as a Chevy engine in it. But, and it's basically the same similar kind of power plant that I don't really know why they wanted to pick that fight in the first place. It's just kind of a head scratcher. Like, well,
I mean, I think what I think it is, somebody will come up with something that's similar or it'll have a similar name, and the lawyers send a cease and desist letter, and people are in the mindset that they can't win or they can't afford to fight it or whatever the case may be, and they just roll over, so to speak, or just walk away from it because it's not worth it or it's too expensive, whatever the case may be, and so they just bully their way through the world.
Sounds like a bully tactic. And I always said I had to explain this whole thing to my wife, and the way I explained it to her, I said it's a victory. I said it's the same reason that people in America love the Rocky movies, or I don't care if you like football or not. Most people in America like the movie Rudy. It's an underdog story, and the underdog actually wins. The big bully didn't win this time yet. We're going to stick with what you said about any of that further adjudication, possibly. I really hope they don't, because it's just making them look more and more foolish.
Yeah. And what I saw in the community that I was so proud of was, in the microbrand community, at least, people were seeing this and they were getting rid of their Hamilton watches. And I know that's a very symbolic gesture, but right. I think it's pretty powerful. I know Sean was one of them. He sold his Hamilton watch. I got rid of a Pan American around the same time. So it's like, once I was aware of that lawsuit and kind of was reading about it and things like that, it's like, this is ridiculous. And I got rid of my Hamilton, and I know I'm not the only one, because there's a thread of people that are, we did the same thing and so on. So that's a great sign of support in the community, for sure.
Oh, for sure. I mean, when we first basically announced that this was happening to our email list and to our social media followers, which we went back and forth about talking about it for years and years. And finally, when we went to trial, and there was no stopping it, we were going to trial. We were going to sit in front of a federal judge, and she was going to decide the fate of my company. Basically, I decided, I'm gonna post about this on social media, and honestly, I was looking for validation and confirmation from my customers and just the watch community on, like, is this really worth fighting for? And that first email that I sent about it, we got hundreds of replies saying, like, go get them, get after it, all the stuff that you guys are saying. And to go back to what you guys said before, I don't blame the Swatch Group or Hamilton for suing me. I mean, we make things that say Hamilton on the face of the watch. It's certainly something that would spark a conversation, right? Most multi-billion-dollar international conglomerates have what's called a scorched earth policy when it comes to trademark disputes, especially where it's just like, hey, if you think it's a small company and if you sue them and it puts them out of business, just hit them hard and make them go away. And right, wrong, or indifferent, that's written in an SOP somewhere for the legal team, for the chief legal officer. They're just like, yep, let's mess them up. What I fault them for, and I wish was different, and I guess I am disappointed in, is when the little guy, somebody like me, gets a cease and desist and immediately does so. First of all, just, okay, cool. We just won't take a Hamilton and put it in a wristwatch. Fine. Right. And then immediately what I do, which is I reached out to every single person with a C in their title at Swatch and Hamilton and said, hey, this seems like a misunderstanding. There's got to be some way we can figure this out. I'm from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Like, there is not a person in their 20s that cares more about the history of Hamilton Watch Company than I do. I promise you. You'd think that the humans, because they're humans, it's not robots that run this company. They're humans with hearts. You'd think that they would at least have a cup of coffee with me or do a simple Zoom call or even just answer a quick phone call, or heck, just answer an email and say, give me a chance, like give me 30 seconds to show you what I do, and see if there's a way to work this out. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to do any of that across 5 years of trying.
Yeah. I mean, you even went to Switzerland, right? Was that correct?
Yeah. I mean, I've been to Basel 3 times, and each time I made attempts to, hey, I'm in your backyard. I know you're at Basel World. Can you spare 10 minutes, cup of coffee? Let me put a Hamilton pocket watch conversion in front of you to show you that, I'm not a watchmaker, but I am an engineer, and we make some beautiful things, and we're doing this justice. Like, let me just show you what we're doing. And we couldn't even break the first line of defense, basically.
Well, I read through so many of the court documents that I could get my hands on. I think back in February, right as you were getting ready to go to court, I was trying to read everything I could. I was talking to a lawyer friend to try to understand some of this stuff. And I mean, these are my words now. I really felt like they were jerking you around when they'd send that person to New York to negotiate, but they had no power, or they wouldn't show up and things like that. And I'm just like, wow, like this is ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, they got a legal slap on the wrist actually at our second, I think it was our second settlement meeting, where they basically didn't show up ready to negotiate, and the judge made them pay all my fees and fines and stuff for being there and my travel costs, and basically told them they were responsible for paying for that because they literally wasted Vortic Watch Company's time.
Yeah, that's one thing that judges are not in the business of, is wasting time. I've been in a few courtrooms, and I've been through some of that. And it's that's always a big thing. And what I thought was just so wild is that you were bringing the heritage, you were showing the original heritage of the brand that then got sucked up in the vacuum of a big corporate structure and then didn't pop back out until years later. So you're showing that, hey, this brand has been around since, pre-war.
Right.
And, and that's not everybody knows that. Not everybody has, spends money out of their own pocket to make a watch show for people to, learn and have fun, and, just stuff like, just like we're doing. And certainly not very many people have the ability to fight a major a global entity in court like that. I mean, I'm a strong fighter, but I don't. That would have been just a really tough pill to swallow. Like, do you follow through with this, or do you just roll over because they're, it's literally a David and Goliath kind of biblical battle. And I applaud you more as, an American, as a watch designer and creator, brand owner, human being. It's just awesome that it's that kind of that it's very American. It's just that fighting spirit that, all right, well, no, I'm not going to get pushed around, damn it. And I'm going to, we're going to do this. And then, hopefully win.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a Rocky movie.
Yeah. No, thank you. And, I wish I could take credit for all of it. I definitely can't. I mean, I have a small team, but a team behind me that's kept the lights on for us. They're making watches as I'm having conversations with attorneys, right? And then we have an amazing attorney that, I mean, it was May of 2019 when I was about 5 days out from having my second child. I have two little boys, a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old now. And, obviously very stressful time in your life, right? In a good way. But I was sitting in the parking lot of Vortic, and we had just lost two associates to, just basically turnover. It happens, right? People weren't on the same page, and there was a lot of stress in our work environment, mostly from me bringing home this stress of all of this, right, back to the company. And so I was down to like 3 people in the shop. I was about to I can't really take paternity leave as an entrepreneur. It's not really a thing. So I was trying to figure out how I was going to balance that and help my girlfriend and help my family and figure all this stuff out. And we realized that there was no way that we could avoid trial, and we were headed towards trial. We were going to have to go all the way to court to defend ourselves. And my attorney at that time told me that we were looking at least $100,000 to go to trial, which some people said was low. I thought that was an astronomical amount of money, but some people said that was low. And so I sat in the parking lot and I Googled best Colorado bankruptcy attorney, just to figure out what my options were. I hadn't made a decision yet. I was just like, hey, I need to have this conversation with my investors, with my business partners, and say, this is an option. Because obviously if you file bankruptcy and there's a federal case against you, it just goes away and it's over. And I made my way to this guy named Rob. And he is a bankruptcy attorney, but he is a litigator. So he's not the right kind. He's not like if you're trying to file bankruptcy, he's like somebody else is trying to file bankruptcy, but they owe you money. So you you litigate against them. But I didn't know what I was looking for. And his associate was like, oh, he's got an hour right now. You want to talk to him? The first hour is always free. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. So I'm like pouring my guts out to this man on the phone, like basically tearing up in my, parking lot, like figuring out what I'm going to say to everybody. And he said, hey, you don't need to file bankruptcy. You just need someone to believe in you and fight for you. And I was like, yes. do you know anyone like that? And he was like, I got some time, I can probably help you. And I was like, okay, what do we do? And so, and this, our attorney, his name's Rob Lance. He's from Denver. He's the best Colorado bankruptcy attorney. And he fought for us. He went to New York City with me and we went to battle and he took him down. I mean, he did all the talking. He set me up. He prepped me. He said, here's what you say, here's what you don't say. And he's the reason. He believed in me. He believed in us. He believed in what we do. He saw the law. He said, hey, you've not done anything wrong. And like you said, Brian, it would be un-American to not defend yourself if you know you never did anything wrong. Innocent until proven guilty is what he said. You are innocent, and you have to make them fight to prove that you're guilty. And I'll never forget that. And so yeah, even when I was ready to give up, or at least consider it, people like that, people like you guys, customers, Vortic customers, came and said, let's do this. You know, people kept buying watches, even though there was uncertainty on whether or not we would survive. People still bought watches. So, you know, certainly the credit is not on me completely.
Well, and I think in a lot of aspects, it's good that you did share the load of that, because, and I imagine that when you did make it public about it, I mean, did you have almost a feeling of a little bit, kind of like a little bit of weight off your shoulders that, yes, this is happening. You know, it's not just hidden anymore. You know, everybody kind of knows about it. And then, you know, it sounds like people really, really supported you and your decision once you decided to kind of let it out into the community. And, you know, of course, I'm kind of person that's, you know, definitely, you know, fight for the right thing. And it's everything I was reading. It was like, this is just a no-brainer. He can actually win this. Like, it shouldn't be that ridiculous, but it is going to be very expensive. So,
yeah.
But which any legal battle, unfortunately is. And, you know, I'm not going to get into financials or whatever, you know, you had to seal out on the end of that with, as far as that goes. But
I think the one count that they accused you of that I really had to think about was the I forget how it's worded, but where would an average person know that this wasn't made by Hamilton? And that was kind of the one that I was like, well, like, if you go to the website, it clearly states what this is, but sometimes people are people. So that's like, well, but I mean, like, that's definitely the justification. But it's like, so also the typical Vortic customer, you know, is exceptional compared to a layman that doesn't collect watches too. Because, I mean, once you find Vortic, you understand you found something very unique. And, you know, as you look at the website, you explore and understand what it is, which is what attracted me to it. I think you said that you made that call in May, and I think I put my first order in like the next month. I think it might have been May or June. Yeah, it was right around that same time. I'm like, oh, I need this one and I need that one.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And you know, just like a lot of our customers, I mean, we have, and I've had other people tell me this is rare. I have no idea. But I think we have about a 50, maybe almost 60% repeat customer rate. So if you buy one Vortic watch, there is a 50+% chance that you will buy a second Vortic watch. And I can't say thank you enough for the multiple Vortic watches that you've purchased, but you know, just to validate you are not alone in that sense. There are dozens, if not hundreds, of customers who own two. I mean, we have a customer that's purchased over $100,000 worth of Vortic watches. He's a VIP certainly, but he's not. There are other people that have tens of thousands, you know, worth of Vortics, you know, dozens of watches, and I'm sure that's a thing for other watch companies. But when I share that with other entrepreneurs in other industries, they're just like, holy crap, you know, like either that's a testament to your customer service or a testament to the loyalty in your customers, or a testament to when they receive that first watch, they're blown away by the quality and they're like, wow, this is worth every cent and more. And so I can totally justify purchasing a second one.
Well, let me speak to that a little bit as a customer.
Okay.
So, I have a couple of those. I got my first one, and it was in this beautiful box. I'm not sure. Is it cedar wood? Whatever kind of wood it is. It's a beautifully, classically designed box that's smooth. It's not flashy, but it's so classy. You know, the wax stamp that you put on the top with, I mean, it's just the packaging. When I saw that packaging, I'm like, wow, like this is awesome.
Yeah, we get more compliments on the packaging than we do the watches, which I love. That's why I do what I do. Yeah,
and I think, and because you know, you have a good idea at least what your watch is going to look like, but when you get this like package that looked like it came, you know, across the general store shelf in 1875, that's all wrapped in plain whatever the paper is, I can't think of it right now, but it's just like, damn, they thought of everything. Is the and then I mean, I don't know if I can do this justice at all. There's a picture on the screen, but I mean, that's freaking gorgeous. So
yeah, and yours is spectacular, but I mean, I think they're all awesome. I'm certainly biased, but yeah, I mean, that's.
You don't have to be, though. There's no arguing that's absolutely gorgeous. I mean,
but that's why, so we there's a person at Vortic Watch Company currently. Her name's Andrea, and Andrea packages and ships every single watch that we sell, and she gift wraps every single one, wax seals every single one, and we have a process, so it doesn't take more than about 15 minutes of her time to do that. That wooden box, the wood is actually different on every box. The wood comes from a door factory that's just down the street from us here in Colorado. And the scrap wood from making like custom front doors for homes is just the perfect thickness for a watch box, but is the worst thickness for anything else. It would be trash to them. So they were throwing that away, but they turned that into watch boxes for us. Meaning that some of them are oak, some of them are cedar, some of them are pine, whatever. They're all different, and it fits the upcycling, of what we do, and none of it's expensive. I mean, our boxes, our average watch sells for about $2,500. The box costs me $15. So it's not a huge percentage of the cost of the product, but it makes the world of difference. And yeah, 15 minutes of her time, even if she gets paid a great salary, is still not a whole lot of money from me, from us, from Vortic. But if that makes you buy your second watch, or if that makes you tell all your buddies, like, holy crap, the watch is awesome, but Andrea really killed it with this packaging, yes. That's what makes it personal. And that's why you buy the second one.
Yeah,
no doubt. And I mean, like, guys, like if you've never seen one of these or checked them out, let's get on the website. I'm going to turn the banner on. I get the banner going on there. VorticWatches.com. Vortic. I'm sorry. Cool. Vortic. There's our banner.
Yeah.
It rolls off the tongue as Vortic, probably because I am a car guy too. So sorry.
Yeah. And I think I've purchased most of the other similar domain names. I just haven't actually put them into use. But it's, people, we have Google ads that help people find their way, but yeah, it's, Vortic, right? It's all the same to me. It stands for Vortex and TikTok, a beautiful clash of old and new. And that's what we do.
That's really cool. You beat me to the question there. So I was going to ask about and so basically it's trying to take a step back from the legal stuff and the stressful stuff that gives us gray hair. And but when really, I believe it was you're in college, you kind of had an idea, and like, how did you? I mean, I've read extensively. It's kind of a loaded question, but how did you? To me, but for everyone else, like, how did it actually come to fruition from idea to concept to defeating Swatch Group in a lawsuit? I mean, let's say that's
we took a big leap there.
That's
in the timeline of the company, but yeah. So we had a really simple idea on the golf course at Penn State, and that was actually 2011. And it was, can we make a watch that's truly American made, 100% made in USA? If you guys didn't know, you guys probably know, but a lot of people don't know. The definition of made in America is all or virtually all critical components are made in the United States. And what that means is that you have to define what a critical component is. And basically everything in a watch is critical. One of the things that I would argue that's not critical is like a gasket for water resistance, because a watch is still a watch even if it's not water resistant, in my opinion. So like maybe a gasket doesn't count, but in general, I mean, when you talk about the springs and the jewels and all this, everything, basically everything is critical. And so when you say all or virtually all, that's basically 99%. So to have a watch that's assembled in the USA is not even close to being called made in USA.
Right.
And he and I, my business partner, Tyler, and I were kind of having that argument, that discussion, whatever. And we started just Googling it after the round of golf, and we couldn't find anyone that was truly making an American made watch. At that time, we didn't know about RGM, and call out to RGM. At that time, he was, in my opinion, making a truly American made watch, still is, beautiful products. But other than him, we couldn't find too much else. And so, and then as you guys probably know, RGM makes beautiful things, but only a very small amount of them and for a large price point, which is fine. They're worth every cent. But we said, could we make hundreds, maybe thousands of watches that are actually made in America? And that's what started our journey. Then we stumbled upon the history of the old pocket watches. There was 10 great American watch companies, including Hamilton, but you got Illinois, Waltham, Elgin, etc. And then we stumbled upon the fact that most pocket watches get scrapped for gold or silver, and the movements dial and hands are trash to pawn shops and those people. And so we said, if we could save these pieces of American history and turn them into wristwatches, it's a pocket watch conversion. It's not something that no one's ever done before, but what if we made our whole brand just that? No one's ever really done that before. We could make these pocket watch conversions, make them 100% American made. We can make all the other components, and we would make the only truly American made wristwatch. And that's what our marketing was on Kickstarter in 2014.
Yeah. That's awesome. So just, and then kind of where did that, where, let's just say, you had the idea was there, and, of course, so it's, I think a lot of us, we have ideas that we think, okay, this is a good idea. And, what really made you pursue it into fruition, into what it is today, the Vortic that we now see, that's literally broadcast on a world stage right now, actually. So
yeah,
from going, and I grew up in Southern New Jersey. So, Penn State, that's kind of around that backyard area. So
yeah,
to go from, a golf course in PA to, where you have a manufacturing facility in Colorado, just, I guess, how'd you really make it work, and how did you know that it was going to work? Because coming out of college, most of us are not wealthy. So,
yeah.
So
Understatement.
Wealthy.
Yeah. So we raised $41,000 on Kickstarter from November 17 of 2014 to December 17 of 2014. That was, at that time, I think 61 watches. So do that math. You could have gotten a Vortic watch in 2014 for less than $1,000. Some of them were like $575.
Wow.
Huge mistake on our part. We lost a ton of money on Kickstarter. As I'm sure you guys can totally relate to. Crowdfunding is not the best thing, but it's the reason we got started. And to answer your question really simply, we did it for the customers. We did it for the true customers who we've never met before. And that's I just talked to one of them recently where on Kickstarter, we had 3 options. We had the Chicago, which was an Elgin pocket watch turned into a wristwatch, the Boston, which was a Waltham pocket watch turned into a wristwatch, and then the Lancaster, which was a Hamilton pocket watch turned into a wristwatch. And then we had because it was the holidays, we had like the Christmas special, which was one of each. So you could buy 3 of them for $1,500, $500 each. So one of each. And the first person, I won't say his last name, but Robert was this first customer we've never met before. We got a small write-up in the Reading Eagle, which is Reading, Pennsylvania is where I'm from, the Reading Railroad, that's where it's most common, southeastern PA. Tiny little newspaper said, hey, this dude and his friend from Reading created this watch company. It's really cool. Go check it out. And this guy who lives, not going to lie, 11 miles from my home, purchased our first set of 3 watches. Someone I've never met in my life, no reason other than he just liked watches, and they were fairly inexpensive to him. Pulled the trigger on 3 watches. I personally delivered his watches when we finished them about almost a year later. Because wow. I flew home and I was like, hey, I'm going to visit my family and I'm going to go see our first and best customer. And he's bought, 5 or 6 more watches from us in the last 5 years. But people like that who we had no connection to, they had no reason to buy it. It was stupid for them to buy this thing. I mean, we literally super glued these things together for Kickstarter. He pulled the trigger on this. And that's why we did it, because from the very beginning, people were like, why didn't I think of this? This is the best idea. You can upcycle pocket watches. It's truly American made. These are beautiful movements, and you can do it for a fair price. And that's what kept us going, honestly, the whole time, is the cycle of that. I mean, when we started this conversation, we talked about you buying a couple watches right at one of the hardest times of our life. That's what kept us going the whole time.
Hold on. I got to write down, ask for Christmas special next time.
Yeah.
Ask for,
it's a special, it's a discount code. You need like an asterisk and like an ampersand. Yes. Yeah. We'll figure it out. We'll hook you up.
Well, I'll give it to you for $2.99 a minute, but you have to talk to them for a minimum of 4 hours. But it's a fantastic story, and that, having friends and family from that area that growing up around there, that I take that, and it's pretty literally close to home.
For sure. Yeah.
And so grew up going to Philadelphia all the time, Lancaster, out to Carlisle, Pennsylvania, and places like that. These little towns. And I said, you always know when you kind of get out a little farther, because the names of the towns start to become more amusing in your childish mind. And you know what I'm talking about. Anybody that just looks
Intercourse, Pennsylvania. Look it up. It's a thing.
It's a real place.
100%.
Yep. I've been there.
Let's shift gears. We've covered the ugly, the good, the bad. I want to talk about how you decided to do the GCT conversion, and then we can talk about the Veterans Initiative, the Veterans Watch Initiative that you've. I was going to say basically, but you're literally funding a physical building, like an expanded.
They put my name on a building. It's pretty cool. Yeah, we can get into that.
Usually for that.
Yeah, I mean, technically, we donated money, but yeah, it was a shock and
technically
an honor. Yeah,
I every time they post, I'm seeing a $5,000 check with your name signed on it.
Yep. No, I guess. Yeah, you're right. Literally. The money's leaving my bank account.
Yeah. Let's give RT a little bit more credit, because out of the GCTs, the military editions, $500, right, goes directly to them.
Yeah. So here I'll do the pitch. It sounds like you're setting me up for a pitch, so I'm gonna get it. So
Go for it.
so this is the military edition. Everything inside of this watch was made during World War II for the U.S. Army Air Corps, what is now called the Air Force. It says GCT on the front because that's Greenwich Civil Time, which was the central time zone that the Allies used in Europe. Everything inside of this particular watch is the Hamilton 4992B. It was based on the 992B, which was a railroad pocket watch that Hamilton made in Lancaster, Pennsylvania for about 50 years. They made the same thing. It was the best pocket watch and the most famous pocket watch ever made. In World War II, the US government put out a contract and they said, hey, whichever watch company can figure out how to make the most of these and the best of these gets our business. Hamilton won, and they made about 150,000 of this almost exact pocket watch. It's called the AN5470, I think, something like that. And so anyway, it's a true 24-hour dial. So right now we're almost 5, right, guys? And so it's obviously a beautiful piece of engineering, a beautiful feat of engineering to tell time almost perfectly. Sweeping, hacking, secondhand, et cetera, et cetera. Every navigator on all the B bombers of the American airplanes during World War II had one of these. It was called the Master Navigator's Watch. And it was a pocket watch. And so since they made 150,000 of them, we can find a small number of them every year. And so we make 50 of them every year. They come out on Veterans Day. And this year we decided to standardize everything. Last year we offered some upgrades and the pricing was different on what you got. This year they're $5,995. $500 from every watch goes to the Veterans Watchmaker Initiative, and the Veterans Watchmaker Initiative is pretty straightforward. They teach U.S. military vets how to become watchmakers, which obviously solves a huge problem in the watch industry that I share in, which is how do we find people to actually restore the movements and service all these beautiful vintage watches that we all love and want. And so this guy named Sam Cannon basically dedicated his life to teaching vets how to become watchmakers. And he likes to specialize in disabled vets, which is even more honorable, in my opinion. And so, yeah, we wrote him a check for $25,000. And I can't wait until November 11th this year when I write him another check for another $25,000 at least.
That's fantastic. And that's out of Delaware, isn't it?
Odessa, Delaware.
Yeah. Yeah. So I said, of course I missed that because actually I am 100% disabled veteran, Operation Iraqi Freedom 0709. And of course I missed that by moving to Georgia and not being anywhere near Delaware, because South Jersey is just a hop over the bridge and bam, you're in Delaware. And so it's like, yeah, I totally could have gotten in on that, and I couldn't move back to Jersey anyway. It was just,
well, first of all, thank you for your service. We really appreciate you, all of us. My last name is Custer. I did not serve. I did not have the honor, but my ancestors did. And both my grandfathers served in World War II. And they both told me all kinds of amazing stories. And I have an enormous respect for the military and our police force and pretty much anyone who serves in any capacity similar to that. Anyone that's willing to give their life for me so that I can run a company and sell things that you don't need is just phenomenal. So appreciate you. And then second thing I would say is, the Odessa, Delaware is 45 minutes from the Philadelphia airport. And it's a great spot. And what's interesting is that even though, it seems like a niche thing, right? You're teaching U.S. military vets how to become watchmakers. Yeah, that seems like a small thing, like not many, who actually can do that. They have hundreds of people on the waiting list, and they can only teach maybe 15 or 20 people at a time. And so this building that they built, and they're putting our name on it, which is phenomenal, and I love that. But even that is just a drop in the bucket towards what they want to do and what they can do. And so they're going to receive consistent support from me. And I want to call out Bulova Watch Company, owned by Citizen, Bulova is a huge supporter, and one of the only other supporters. Chris Vale is the other one. There's a few other micro brands that throw their hat in the ring there, but there's a few of us that are supporting the Veterans Watchmaker Initiative, and hopefully I can be an excuse or an inspiration for other companies to also throw their hat in the ring and support the initiative.
Yeah, I hope that I can get to the point. And it's like, now that I hear myself saying this, I'm kind of like, this guy was fighting Swatch Group, and he was, you know, and you still were writing those checks. So I hope I can get to the point to where I'm in the black, and I can, I'm not going to say I can compete with you writing checks by any means, but I hope to be able to at least get in the game and send money that way too, because it's a great cause. And when I saw that, I'm like, wow, that's incredible. And especially knowing that you're paying all these attorneys fees too, and that battle, but you're still thinking about other people and bettering society in general that's just,
and raising
that's pretty powerful.
Yeah. I mean, don't pick a fight with RT, Brad. I mean, I know that I know that Mitchell has donated parts to the.
I did get a chance. I
know that you guys.
I buy the old watch boxes that were in like the Illinois factory and Waltham and stuff like that, and I refinished them. But all the parts I just put in a box and sent over to him. Hopefully, there's something in there that they can make useful. But well, now that's what I was going to say is donating money is obviously the most helpful thing. You know, they need money to do all the great things that they do. Donating parts is helpful, but donating time, it's what we're doing right now, guys. We're talking about them. Anyone that's listening to us right now might have money, time, or parts that they can donate. And you know what? If each one of the people that are listening to us talk about the Veterans Watchmaker Initiative right now, just Google it and go and even just tell one other person. I mean, the ripple effect that the three of us can have on all those other people is phenomenal, and that's why we do it. Yeah, 25,000 is a lot of money. If we can donate that every year, that's great. But it's still not that much. It costs a lot of money to put someone through school, like a whole education. You know, I feel that I went to Penn State for 4.5, almost 5 years. That was not cheap. So yeah, you know, education is expensive, but it's very important.
I'm in the 6+ years of college bracket too. So,
it was fun, right? It was fun.
Because
mostly
the doctor right there costs a lot of money. So
you know more than all of us. Yep.
Yeah. What do we want to talk about next?
Student loans. Yeah.
Student loans.
So the monkey's off the back. I know you've got the anniversary for for Veterans Day. You're going to do that every year.
Yep.
Anything else you want to share with us on what's coming down the line? P.S. I am aware of the fact that Elgin made 40,000 GCTs and Waltham made like 5. So, or was it 20,000 with Elgin? Something like that. Very low numbers.
20,000 and 4,000. Elgin made 20,000. Waltham made 4,000. Yep. And other Swiss companies made them too. I found a Longines the other day. That is really cool. There's a Breitling that was also made with the GCT. And that's not what we do. We specialize in the American stuff, but I bought a couple just kind of for fun, you know, to look at them.
Those are the reference A8. Is that right? They were A8s. Because then Elgin
they're a little bigger. They're a little different. Yeah. Okay.
And then I know Elgin's was an A13, and then there was a few of the 5740s.
Yep. Yeah. So a lot of things to answer your question. A lot of things coming up. One thing that I think I'm going to do next is I get questions mostly from customers, but from people like you guys all the time about the history of American watchmaking. And so we're putting together just a history page on our website where we can share the history of kind of all the watch companies. And then we're considering doing something like this, maybe a video podcast, maybe just a video series of like, just telling the story of the Illinois watch company, what they did, when they did it, how they did it, use black and white footage to show all that stuff. There's not really a centralized location for that information on the internet. And so that's a big project that I have coming up. And then, we launched in July, I guess. We launched what we call the watch of the day. So we make one new one-of-a-kind watch every single day. It's a very simple business model. People love it, though. Most of them sell in minutes. And we have a very low inventory still, even though we've made one watch a day since then. And so we're going to keep that up. Every single one is different. Some of the next ones coming up will be Lancaster models, including Hamilton pocket watches. Why are we doing that? Because the judge said we could. So that's kind of cool. And then, sometime next year, we haven't picked a date yet. My business partner and I just went through this today. We're going to launch another brand. We tentatively are calling it Custer and Wolf, our two last names, because we get questions all the time. First of all, can you make them smaller? Which is no. Pocket watches are the size that they are. We cannot make what we make smaller. It's just not a thing. And then another question is, can you make more of them? Can we mass produce something that looks like what we do? And so sometime next year, we're going to roll out some prototypes, probably just for our Vortic customers to test out. And then maybe 2022, we'll roll out mass production of it. I got you on the list. Don't worry. And basically, what we envision is a watch that's mostly made in America. It'll be under a different brand. We'll do as much as we can, but directly competing with Shinola in the price point of like $800 to $1,500. Price point we can't touch right now with what we currently do, and that's fairly customizable. But the dials and the cases will be inspired by our current watches. So your favorite watch, right, that you just showed off, beautiful dial, probably totally one of a kind, something I'll never see again. We could make 100 dials that look like your dial, but that say Custer and Wolf on them and that are 40 millimeters in diameter, with a really similar case style, industrial Americana, titanium, made in America, with a high quality movement that maybe has an American rotor on it or something like that, right? And assembled in USA, like as much as we can. And then produce 100 of them, and then produce 100 of something else. And so we're trying to answer those questions and solve that problem with our customers. Can you do what we do smaller and make more of them? That's our other, we can call it a sister brand, made by Vortic, same level of quality that you'd expect from a Vortic watch, but for a lower price, smaller, and more mass producible, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Let me speak to the accuracy real quick. This Illinois is like 98 years old or something like that. And it's within like COSC standards. Like it can compete with a Rolex on accuracy. So just I gotta throw that out there.
we don't make things like they used to. I think that's somebody asked me that earlier today. Is just, I think that's a generalization, and it kind of stands for American made stuff in general, right? Is for the 100 years ago, if it was made in America, it's because it was the only way to do it. There was no global supply chain. For the last decade, American made has been a marketing slogan. It's American made. Woo! We assemble it in America, all this kind of stuff. But now I think we're really entering a renaissance of American made, especially because of COVID and COVID just shutting down the global supply chain. And, a lot of my friends that run micro brands, they couldn't get stuff out of China for months and months. Whereas we were just pumping them out. We were making them. We didn't stop at all, and I think because of all of that, this renaissance of made in America and truly made in America is going to get us back to American made being synonymous with quality. I think we're right there. I think it's mostly there, but I think we can do it better.
Yeah, that's awesome. And
I had a movement coming from Switzerland that took 4 weeks to get.
Right.
It was brutal.
Yeah. And as you guys probably know, most things that come from Switzerland, especially under a certain price point, are actually coming from China to Switzerland to get assembled and put in a box, and then they come to America. And that's, again, is a generalization, not true in all counts, but is a fact for most people.
Yeah. And I think when talking about what it takes to be American, was it the old rule used to be said to be 60% Swiss parts or something
to be made in Switzerland. Yeah. To be Swiss made was 60% of the cost of goods to manufacture was, money spent in Switzerland.
So that's.
I
mean, it's just. Yeah, but I mean, it's just interesting points. It's like, you could put a really expensive movement in a trash can and call it a watch.
Yeah.
You could do that because, the trash can's $10 and the movement's $400. So there you go. Does that make it a Swiss trash can? No. You still have
you shouldn't talk about Shinola like that, but
I didn't. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Oh God.
So,
but yeah, it's a thing, and you know what, the most interesting thing that I've learned running an American watch company is that when we started in 2014, American made was the thing. It kind of still is, but like back then, everyone was talking about made in USA. Hoorah, let's do this, right? And unfortunately, it was all just for marketing. The consumer, the customer, if they were shown something that was $1,000 that was made in America against something that was $1,000 made in Switzerland, they'd probably go with the made in Switzerland thing because they trust that more than American made. It was almost like a qualifier, and so all of our ads for like the first 2 years of Vortic Watch Company were the only truly American made watch and 100% made in America. And that was what we said on all of our ads. And they weren't working. The ads they weren't working. And we had a ton of comments on Facebook, like, what about Shinola? What about Weiss? What about RGM? And I was getting into these heated arguments about what is American made. And none of it had anything to do with our product and our quality and how cool it was that we were doing. It was people are getting distracted by my made in USA statement. And so I just switched it over and I said, Vortic watches are one of a kind, custom made, just for you, pocket watch conversions. Also, they're made in America. And so then made in America became a qualifier, just a statement of quality and not a marketing slogan. And so nobody argued with it. They were like, oh yeah, they are custom made. They are one of a kind. They are made just for me. That's awesome. Oh, they're made in America too? Cool. That makes me willing to spend a little bit more. And that's how we do everything now. Is it says made in USA on the back of the watch, but that's almost the only place you're going to see it predominantly.
It's really cool.
I was so surprised when you told me that the watch builder only brought in a small part of your revenue, but it was my toy, so I still miss it.
Don't worry, it's coming back. We're going to bring it back with the Custer and Wolf idea.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's part of what I envision someday is, you guys ever do the build a bear workshop, walk into a retail store and like design a bear and it has like a little saying in it, fully custom. It's not the best example, but like what I envision is you can walk into any jewelry store or watch store in the United States and there's an iPad Pro somewhere in the back with a really cool Vortic logo over it and a couple watches underneath it. And you have a watch builder right there on the iPad Pro. And you design a custom watch in the store holding an example. It's not for sale. You just kind of see like, oh, this is the different size options, all that stuff. You click buy on the iPad. You never talk to a single human. You can walk straight past them. And you click buy. And within 10 days, that watch arrives either to your doorstep or to that store where an associate hands it to you. And you get a custom watch made to order in like 2 weeks or less. And that's, I think, the future of watch retail. And that's really where Vortic Watch Company is going, is mass production, mass customization, and also American made and high quality.
Yeah, because
that sounds like a big balancing act. But you guys have proven, and you're so cool about it. I got to you just are. I mean, you're just really, really cool, straight up guy. But a lot. I imagine that in the beginning, even you said, when with the lawsuit and things, it's like, I imagine kind of like looking at Everest and like, how am I going to do this? But you've done it in the past, so I'm not going to put anything past Vortic in the future. And that, in my mind, it's that you have already proven that you're willing to climb that mountain and stand at the top of it. So fantastic, and it's a huge testament to your brand and everything that you guys are doing, and everyone on your team, that you're doing it great. You're making a lot of people very happy, and just making really great quality American timepieces that hopefully are being sold globally. So I mean, there's people in Germany who don't buy German cars; they buy Cadillacs instead. It's because they're more rare. So I'm hoping that people all over the globe are getting to enjoy these wonderful watches that you guys are bringing out, and to the public. So I think that moving forward idea is just fantastic.
Thanks. Yeah, so far so good. And as one of my friends said, to be an entrepreneur, a lot of people say you have to be confident and all that stuff, and all that's true. But he said you have to have a certain level of arrogance, and I think that's so amazingly accurate, because if I had known that I would have to do all of these things that I have done in the past 5 years, I probably wouldn't have done any of it, and I would have stuck with that real cushy corporate job I got right out of school. So, it's arrogance, stupidity, whatever, luck. My dad says about golf, I'd rather be lucky than good. I'll say that every day, right? It's a thing. So anyway, thank you. I appreciate you for saying all that. But like I said before, I can't take all the credit. Some of it's karma, the world, what's happened. I'm just the guy that gets to drive the car.
That's awesome.
I did see a thread. I know we're hitting it over an hour, so we'll wrap this up in just a minute. But I saw a thread earlier today that he was asking, I would like a genuine answer on why people start micro brands. And I literally put under there, I said, I'm testing my mental health.
I saw that, actually.
Yeah. Great question. That being
That's
said,
true.
we are at an hour. So we're going to open up to ask you if you want to share anything in specific before we wrap up the show. And then I think we'll call it a day. An hour is a long show for us. So
I think this is great. I talked about everything. Our next thing is the military edition, as discussed, comes out Veterans Day, November 11th. And that's our next big thing. I mean, we are, I guess one thing to look out for, if you're watching this, is on Sunday we'll be on national TV. Fox News flew out from New York City and interviewed me yesterday for a national TV thing on Sunday afternoon. So thank you guys for this press. All press is good press in my mind. But as far as national recognition of the David and Goliath story, I think that's going to be a pretty big deal. So hopefully that turns out well, and we get a waterfall effect with that. But that's what's coming next.
And Fox Nation, we brought it here live first.
So. Oh, for sure. Yeah, you can take credit all day. Yep, you got it. You got it live.
I really do appreciate you sitting down, taking the time with us. We're gonna get this out to everybody. As many groups and things like that as possible. And I just want to again thank you for taking the time with us. And we wish nothing but success for you. And guys, make sure to follow us on the Veterans Watch Collector channel on YouTube. We're also here at Taking Time on Facebook. And we also have our podcast that we'll be pushing out shortly for the audio only guys. That's a wrap, guys.
Thank you. And big thanks to you, RT. Congratulations again. And
thank you, guys.
from everybody on our team to yours. Thank you guys. Way to go, and keep going. We look forward to hearing more from you in the future. So
we'll keep on keeping on. Appreciate you guys.
Absolutely. Our pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.